The latest episode of The Mandalorian seemed to have another episode of a different Star Wars series shoved in the middle of it, but it did have some clear cinematic influences. This is Exasperated Nerd Explains. It's no secret that Dave Filoni, one of the minds behind Star Wars TV, likes to call back and reference classic cinema in Star Wars. And the look and feel of the Amnesty Imperials definitely calls the film adaptation of 1984 to mind, which does not speak well of this new republic. It not only shares visuals, but also follows similar story beats from beginning to end. They both begin with a speech in front of a crowd accompanied by a giant head projection, albeit in the Mandalorian's case, it's our protagonist, the cloning scientist from previous episodes, instead of a national leader or someone on a show trial. Everyone in the Amnesty program wears matching blue jumpsuits, and even though they are in the New Republic, are reduced to letters and numbers instead of actual names, dehumanizing them, which is a major point in 1984, and this is even when they are in their own company.
This is G27, M40, G68.
6079 Smith W. Yes, you.
They are forced to live in their own separate housing complex as well, which really stands out compared to the rest of the glitz and glamour of Coruscant, all of which looks a bit familiar given the plain, blocky starkness of it all. I even think their jobs feel similar, though maybe that's just how they want to show a menial office job in Star Wars, but receiving physical copies, cataloging, archiving, with the multiple screens around, and in the case of 1984, changing these documents, it's definitely more overt and relevant to Winston Smith in the world of 1984, since through his position he literally alters history, which is then reprojected out into the populace. And in Star Wars, the scientist is archiving Imperial data, most of which is scheduled for destruction, creating a burgeoning sense of unease within him due to what he sees as a waste of resources and his own talent. You can see in both characters a reluctance to be forthcoming in conversation with others that's gradually opened up over time. They want to agree with the right things and say the right things time and time again, knowing that a misstep or slip up would be met with a poor reception. Their lives are under constant scrutiny and surveillance, questioned about their loyalty regularly, having to answer questions from an unfeeling droid, isolated. And rumors swirl about the use of a mind flayer on captives, torture, imbuing a fear of what will happen if they do fall out of step with the program. It may be a bit of a reach here, but the characters also bond and socialize over food and drink. Not exactly an original concept, I know, but this does go down to little details such as the small drinking cup, and this is also where the main character first really notices a lady friend. The characters risk their safety to escape from this scrutiny to pursue their own ends, putting themselves in peril in opposition of their government to do so, though the scientist says he's doing it in order to help the government instead of himself, convincing himself of that fact. This leads to their subsequent arrest and incarceration, though it splits away in Star Wars as it was all manipulated by the former Imperial comms officer. Instead of both being caught, she was entrapping him. Either way, both stories end with torture, meant to break their minds, reprogramming them so they will fall in line and be compliant, both of which feature a device attached to their face for good measure. I think the purpose of this imagery and less than flattering look at the New Republic is to demonstrate and justify not only future Star Wars projects, but the sequel trilogy as well. It never made sense that Ahsoka or Luke wouldn't really join up with the New Republic, or why Leia would form a resistance separate from the New Republic government in the sequels, unless it also has the same sort of corruption that is apparently present in all Star Wars governments, just without the cogwheels. This would not be the first time Filoni and crew have worked to flesh out and justify events in Star Wars films. He did yeoman's work in Clone Wars, fleshing out the backstory, which bolsters the prequels in the minds of many fans. Honestly, the episode was okay. I don't really like this complete departure from the main story. Maybe it will tie back into The Mandalorian, but it might not tie back until another series. Other than the bookends, it felt like general world building instead of The Mandalorian. But those are just my thoughts. Did you notice anything else, or do you think I'm completely making this all up? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching. Bye.